The year is 970 BC. The aroma of incense and spices, mixed with the red dust of the desert, hung in the air of the newly built city of Jerusalem. A city on the rise, a symbol of the union of 12 tribes, now bustling with the construction of temples and palaces, under the imposing shadow of the hills. The peace so longed for seemed fragile, a delicate flower under the scorching sun of human fickleness. Solomon, a young king with piercing eyes and dark hair, ascended to the throne amidst this effervescence. Heir to King David, he carried with him the weight of divine promises, the responsibility of uniting discontented tribes, and the challenge of maintaining peace in a still immature kingdom. His hands, still young, trembled as he held the golden scepter, each step, each word, each gesture carrying the expectation of an uncertain future. At his side, the queen, with soft features and a deep gaze, represented ancestral wisdom, the feminine strength amidst a world dominated by men. The shadow of distrust loomed over the older advisors, who saw in Solomon an inexperienced youth, a hesitant pupil amidst the fury of power struggles. There were rumors, whispers, and sidelong glances, which planted the seeds of discord among the tribes. The descendants of ancient families fought for privileges, their hearts full of greed and ambition, their minds plotting against the very stability of the kingdom. The unification, so arduously achieved, seemed threatened, a fragile shell about to shatter. The fragility of peace was a harbinger of challenges to come. However, amidst distrust and the threat of conflict, a harbinger of hope emerged. The promise of an era of prosperity and wisdom, the construction of the greatest temple, the legacy of justice and wisdom, all hung on the fragile promise of unity, which was Solomon's dream. Would he be able to overcome adversity and build a prosperous kingdom, uniting the various tribes under his rule, or would discord prevail, destroying the fragile dream of unity? The fate of the kingdom of Israel and Solomon's future seemed to hang by a thread, at the mercy of decisions he had yet to make. History was about to be written. The kingdom of Israel in the 10th century BC. To the north, the verdant Jordan Valley contrasted with the arid lands of the Negev in the south of the kingdom. The region was bustling with activity. Peasants worked tirelessly in the fields, carrying heavy baskets of grain, while artisans carved wood and wove carpets in their workshops. Jerusalem, the capital, grew imposing, with its temples under construction, the royal palace being built, and the homes of the nobles in majestic style. The air vibrated with the sounds of tools and voices, with the murmur of negotiations and the laughter of children. Solomon, at 20 years old, was more than a king. He was heir to the tradition of David, carrying the responsibility of unifying the 12 tribes under a single scepter. His gaze, sharp and observant, glimpsed the future amidst the tumultuous present. His primary motivation was peace, harmony, and prosperity for his kingdom, a legacy of his father's deeds. But this quest was far from a smooth path. He was a unique figure to whom people turned for answers. His heart burned with the promise of divine wisdom, but he knew that the task of governing a newly unified kingdom was challenging. The queen, known only as the Queen, was a mysterious woman who represented ancestral wisdom. The maternal figure who aided Solomon in his reign carried within her the experience of several generations. Her motivation was the preservation of harmony and the search for peaceful solutions to the problems that plagued the kingdom. The Queen's story, kept secret, told of a passage through exile and a desire for revenge for a difficult past. This past made her ruthless in her methods, something Solomon would need to understand to maintain stability in his kingdom. The advisors, crucial figures in the court, represented the different factions that vied for power and influence within the kingdom. One advisor, rich and ambitious, sought to expand his empire, motivated by greed, while another of humble origin desired justice and equality for all subjects. These characters, each guided by their personal desires and ambitions, became crucial pieces on the political chessboard of the kingdom, a labyrinth of intrigues and conspiracies. Their disputes could be the trigger for the disintegration of the kingdom. Instability hung in the air, the climate of tension was palpable, a silent warning of the tribal rivalries that threatened the fragile unity of the kingdom. The different cultural traditions, the countless stories of conflict, The grudges of previous generations threatened the stability of Israel. Solomon needed to navigate turbulent waters, finding a balanced path between the divergent interests of his people, and this path, he knew, would be far from easy. Whispers of treason echoed through the palace corridors. A dark secret, involving the queen and a powerful advisor, threatened to destabilize the kingdom. Solomon's search for the truth exposed conspiracies, revealing unexpected alliances and deep betrayals, while the fate of Israel hung by a thread. Solomon, determined to establish a just and prosperous kingdom, faced the Herculean task of uniting the 12 tribes. His main goal was to build a magnificent temple, a symbol of union and worship of God, as well as to ensure peace between the rival peoples. The construction, however, faced significant obstacles. The lack of resources was one of the first barriers. Tax collection was inefficient, and the distribution of wealth was unequal, generating discontent in the less favored tribes. The queen, in turn, had a hidden objective: to unravel the truth behind the betrayal that marked her youth. She sought justice and revenge, guided by a past of pain and suffering, which mingled with the need to maintain the stability of the kingdom. The discovery of the conspiracy was her main priority, and she moved stealthily, seeking clues among the advisors and the intrigues of the court. Her goal for now was secondary, but it grew and became more urgent with each clue. The advisors, each with their hidden objectives, acted as crucial pieces on the political chessboard. The ambitious advisor, motivated by greed, sought to accumulate wealth and power, using Solomon's fragility to achieve his personal goal. His efforts to destabilize the young king were constant. On the other hand, the advisor who sought justice and equality was confronted with the difficulty in gaining support for his projects, encountering resistance from those who sought to maintain privileges. The internal struggle for the kingdom's resources and for positions had become intense. A conspiracy, involving the spice trade and the influence of foreign leaders, threatened to undermine Solomon's efforts. Bribery and the pursuit of undue profits were practiced in secret. This conspiracy, an intriguing subplot, connected the rival tribes and complicated the political scene. Corruption and abuse of power became central themes, driving Solomon's search for transparency and justice. The relationships between Solomon and the advisors were complex and tense. Trust was scarce, and distrust permeated the palace environment. Solomon's search for wisdom led him to interact with religious leaders and ancestors, seeking solutions to conflicts. The different councils found themselves in conflict. He would need to discern between the divergent advice, between the divine will and political pressures. The search for unanimous advice was an obstacle to be overcome. The news arrived like a lightning bolt amidst the apparent peace of Jerusalem. A trade caravan loaded with precious spices and treasures was attacked in the desert, its travelers murdered, and its riches stolen. The attack, brutal and unexpected, broke the fragile calm that reigned in the kingdom. The echo of the assault reverberated throughout the tribes, sowing fear and distrust. The attack was not just a robbery, it was an act of war, a direct challenge to Solomon's authority. The news shocked Solomon, taking him away from his routine of building the temple and managing disputes between tribes. He realized that the attack was not a mere robbery, it was a threat to the security of the kingdom, a clear sign that darkness still lingered over the tribes. His motivation intensified, the need to find the culprits and restore order. The pursuit of justice became his priority, and the safety of his subjects his primary duty. The queen, upon receiving the news, felt a surge of fury and determination. The brutality of the attack stirred her up inside, connecting the violence to her past. The search for the truth, hidden behind the web of intrigues and betrayals, became more crucial than ever. For her, the search for the culprit was a search for justice, a search for revenge for her past sufferings. She began to investigate the possible motivations and connections between those involved, her instinct sharpened by the tragedy. The advisors reacted with different reactions. The corrupt advisor, obsessed with his own wealth, saw in the attack an opportunity to appropriate the stolen goods. His ambition blinded him, obscuring the vision of the need to maintain order. He planned to use the situation to his advantage, a plot of shadows. The advisor who sought justice, on the other hand, felt compelled to help, finding himself in the center of a power game where his ideals and convictions clashed with the powerful. He found himself unable to find a solution and felt powerless. The attack on the caravan destabilized the delicate balance between the tribes. Uncertainty hung in the air and fear spread like a virus. The need for security and justice for the victims superseded any other consideration. The union, the basis of the entire kingdom, was under threat. Solomon needed to act quickly, seeking answers and punishments for those responsible, or the kingdom would be destroyed. The search for justice became a primary need, a relentless challenge that required everyone to unite to maintain itself. Tension hung in the air, like an imminent threat. The attack on the caravan unleashed a wave of violence and suspicion. The tribes, once united by the promise of a better future, now divided into factions, each with its own suspicions. Distrust set in, and relations between the different groups became tense and dangerous. Solomon needed to find a way to restore peace and trust, or the kingdom would disintegrate amidst the chaos. The temple, once a symbol of unity, now became a stage for disputes. Rival groups clashed in its corridors, seeking influence and power. New characters emerged, each with their own interests, their own motivations, and their own secrets. An old warrior, who sought to prove his loyalty to Solomon, offered to investigate the clues found in the desert. The search for answers became the priority, driving the characters to dangerous actions. The queen, driven by the thirst for justice, delved deeper into her investigations. She discovered a network of smugglers, linked to powerful foreign merchants hidden in the shadows of Jerusalem. Her past, full of suffering and violence, drove her to discover and punish those responsible for the death of her companions. While unraveling the conspiracy, she devised a plan to expose the culprits and bring justice to those who were murdered. The obsession with the truth made her relentless. The corrupt advisor, instead of seeking the truth, delved deeper into his own web of lies and manipulation, seeking to use the tragedy to boost his power. He built an unlikely alliance, using privileged information to increase his influence and seize the stolen riches. His greed blinded him, and his actions created a vicious cycle of corruption and betrayal. Corruption spread, undermining Solomon's trust and credibility. A new threat emerged, a mysterious group that infiltrated the shadows of Jerusalem. They had an obscure objective, threatening Solomon's efforts and the stability of the kingdom. Their method of operating was silent, their actions unpredictable. The labyrinths of Jerusalem became the stage for their fight against time, while fear hung over the population. The different cultures and beliefs clashed in the streets. Foreign merchants had their own methods for conducting business activities, and these methods conflicted with the desires and practices of local merchants. This tension between the different cultures generated conflicts, which Solomon needed to resolve to maintain peace. The search for justice was the guiding thread of the plot. Solomon, the queen, the warrior, and the advisors were united by this search, even with their different methods and motivations. The search for the truth put everyone in danger. The story unfolded like a game of chess, each piece representing a character, each move a consequence. With each revelation, the plot became more complex and dangerous. The tension in the kingdom of Israel reached unsustainable levels. The attack on the caravan, the conspiracy of the merchants, and the growing influence of foreigners created a fertile environment for disputes and betrayals. The fate of Solomon and his kingdom seemed to be at stake, and the search for justice and truth became a race against time. The characters found themselves increasingly in conflict, their personal goals clashing with the well-being of the kingdom. The queen intensified her investigations, uncovering clues hidden in the most unlikely hiding places. She discovered a conspiracy that extended beyond the borders of Israel, linking the smugglers to powerful foreign leaders. However, with each discovery, new challenges arose. She found herself confronted with a network of lies and corruption, where the line between friend and foe became increasingly blurred. The search for truth became a dangerous journey. The warrior, loyal to Solomon, found himself at a moral crossroads. He faced ethical dilemmas, putting loyalty to the king in conflict with the pursuit of justice. His investigations led him to dangerous places and exposed him to shocking information. He realized that the conspiracy was deeper than he imagined, involving influential figures and powerful institutions. The task became more arduous and the dangers more real. The corrupt advisor, increasingly isolated and exposed, used violence as his shield. He surrounded himself with guards and mercenaries, preparing for a power struggle. His goal transformed into a quest for survival, as he grew more desperate to maintain control. Greed blinded him, and his descent into darkness was uncontrollable. Foreign influence intensified, threatening to undermine the kingdom's stability. New agents, hidden in the shadows, sought to manipulate events for their own benefit. Intrigues became more complex, and the characters struggled to maintain control amidst the turmoil. Solomon found himself facing a dilemma: give in to fear or fight for justice, stability, and the future of his people. Time was running out for Solomon. With each passing day, the tribes grew more distant and the kingdom fragmented. Solomon was forced to make difficult decisions, risking relationships and alliances. The search for truth threatened to expose secrets and compromise the kingdom, and the threat of enemies became palpable. The consequences of the characters' actions intertwined, forming a complex and dangerous web. The fate of each of them depended on the choices of the others. The tension became more oppressive, the atmosphere more strained, and the conflict more intense. The kingdom found itself on the brink of an abyss, and the only certainty was that the future of Israel was at stake. The atmosphere in Jerusalem became oppressive. Each day, distrust and violence grew, threatening to destroy the kingdom's newly won unity. Solomon's efforts to maintain peace became increasingly difficult, and the fate of Israel was in his hands. The characters found themselves at a crucial point, where their choices could lead to the collapse or recovery of the kingdom. The queen, guided by a sharp intuition, discovered a secret hiding place where ancient documents revealed a conspiracy broader and more complex than she had imagined. She came across a compendium of information about a secret organization that sought control of the kingdom, plotting a grand plan. The queen was determined to bring this truth to light and confront those responsible. Her decision to act alone put her life at risk, but it was crucial to expose the culprits. The warrior, after facing countless dangers and dilemmas, had a crucial revelation. He realized that corruption had infiltrated deeper than he had imagined. The search for truth led him to confront his own loyalty, and he faced the choice between protecting his king or facing the truth. This moment of transformation made him question his principles and brought him closer to the truth, even if it confronted him. The corrupt advisor, in his desperation to stay in power, made a fatal mistake. He sought support from a dangerous foreign alliance, not realizing that he was risking losing everything. His insatiable quest for power led him into a deadly trap. Arrogance led him to the precipice, and the abyss opened to engulf him. Solomon, confronted with the evidence, was forced to make a radical decision. The choice between maintaining peace, despite the suspicions, or confronting the conspiracy, even if it meant conflict, became unavoidable. He realized the magnitude of the threat and the imminent danger that loomed over his kingdom. The decision to face the truth could divide the tribes or unite them in the pursuit of security. A new character emerged, an ancient prophet who rose as a spiritual guide. He brought a message of hope and guidance to Solomon, offering valuable advice to lead the kingdom in the right direction. The paternal figure helped calm tensions and guided the characters toward a common path. Wisdom and spiritual guidance proved to be crucial instruments in the midst of the darkness. A relentless confrontation was approaching. The unfolding of events culminated in a crucial point. The consequences of the characters' actions intertwined, and the fate of the kingdom of Israel hung by a thread. The conflict was about to reach its climax, and the choices of the characters would shape the future of that nation. Destiny was written, ready to reveal itself. The days dragged on, laden with tension and expectation. The air in Jerusalem was charged with mystery, and the search for justice became the focus of all the characters. Solomon, with the wisdom and weight of his reign, sought ways to deal with the conspiracies and growing conflicts. The preparation for the final confrontation was slow, but with each day, the tension increased. The queen, with the help of the warrior, intensified her investigations, discovering new evidence and hidden clues. They approached a clandestine organization, whose influence extended throughout the kingdom. But their discoveries were accompanied by traps and betrayals, forcing them to make quick and ruthless decisions. Each step they took brought them closer to the truth, but also put them in greater danger. The corrupt advisor, despite his desperate attempts to stay in power, found himself increasingly isolated. His actions began to have disastrous consequences, and he found himself surrounded by suspicion and distrust. His ambition and thirst for power blinded him, and he desperately tried to stay ahead of the investigations. However, the truth was approaching, threatening to expose him. A new character entered the scene, a shrewd and experienced merchant, who offered to assist Solomon in his search. He had a mysterious past and unexpected connections, which made his help valuable and dangerous at the same time. The merchant used his experience with cunning schemes to help the characters, but his motivations were obscure, and his loyalty questionable. He infiltrated the secret organization, plotting to expose the conspiracy. The tribes, despite the tensions, began to show signs of unity. A growing sense of outrage took hold, leading them to unite against the common enemy. Tiny collective actions in distant places began to create a wave of resistance against the organization, and fear and anguish gave way to hope. Unity was the key, the last hope for a more promising future. The temple, once a stage for disputes, now served as a center for meeting and prayer. The priests and prophets united, offering spiritual support and wisdom to Solomon. The search for answers and guidance became a sacred meeting point. Faith and hope were the guides. Alliances were formed and broken like leaves in the wind. Loyalty and betrayal intertwined in a dangerous dance. Each meeting, each conversation, each gesture concealed a secret. A complex game of power and influence unfolded, and the characters sought their goals, even if it meant betrayal. With each decision, the fate of the kingdom was shaped. The tension in the air was palpable, suffocating. The kingdom of Israel, once vibrant, now trembled under the weight of conspiracies and power struggles. The climate of uncertainty and fear intensified, and the arrival of the final confrontation became imminent. The characters found themselves at a crucial point, where their choices would define the fate of the entire kingdom. The queen, with the help of the warrior and the merchant, discovered the location of the secret organization's main hideout. However, the entrance was protected by a deadly trap, a labyrinth of challenges, where each step could be fatal. Time was running out, and the pressure increased. The discovery was the gateway to the truth, but it also represented the door to their own destruction. The warrior, confronting his own dilemmas, found himself facing a relentless choice. His loyalty to Solomon clashed with his relentless pursuit of justice. He needed to decide whether to betray his king or risk revealing the truth, even if it meant destabilizing the entire kingdom. His decision would be crucial to the outcome of events. The corrupt advisor, desperate to maintain his power, made a final and risky move. He joined forces with foreign leaders, seeking support in a daring plan to secure his control. His frantic quest for power blinded him to the danger he was putting himself in, and his actions became increasingly dangerous. The price of betrayal was high. The merchant, while acting in the shadows, discovered an unexpected conspiracy behind the actions of the secret organization, a conspiracy that connected to the Queen's past and the Kingdom of Israel. This revelation added a new layer of complexity to the conflict, forcing the characters to reassess their decisions and rebuild their strategies. The tribes, unified by outrage, began to prepare for the final confrontation. The union, so long awaited, became a powerful force. Unity was the only hope for survival against the enemies that threatened the kingdom. The preparation was frantic, a reflection of the importance of the moment. Time was running out, and with each passing hour, tensions grew. The characters found themselves at a point of no return, where their choices would shape the fate of the kingdom. The climate of suspense and expectation was palpable, creating an electrifying atmosphere before the decisive confrontation that was approaching. A whirlwind of potential consequences, the fate of Israel hung by a thread. The final confrontation erupted in the corridors of the temple, a whirlwind of bodies, swords, and words. Solomon, confronted with the truth about the conspiracy, faced his corrupt advisor, who, desperate to maintain his power, launched a relentless attack. The fight for justice and control of the kingdom reached its peak, a bloody confrontation. The consequences of each act echoed throughout the kingdom. The queen, unraveling the conspiracy, confronted the foreign leaders, exposing their disloyal intentions and their connections to the corrupt advisor. The fight was intense, but the truth, relentless, triumphed. The revelations shook the kingdom, and the queen, in her relentless pursuit of justice, brought to light secrets that had long been hidden. The consequences of this revelation were devastating. The warrior, divided between loyalty and justice, finally took a stand. He confronted his own moral dilemma, recognizing the need to protect his king, even if it meant exposing secrets and truths. His decision brought a wave of hope to the kingdom, uniting everyone for a common good. His action was crucial. The merchant, using his knowledge and connections, exposed the foreign leaders and revealed their criminal network to Solomon. His actions were crucial in resolving the conspiracy. The kingdom was freed from the threat, and peace and security were restored. With the conspiracy unraveled and the culprits exposed, Solomon consolidated his power and led the kingdom towards peace and prosperity. The temple was completed, becoming a symbol of the unity and resilience of Israel. The search for justice, for now, had been rewarded. The kingdom rose again with the tribes unified by the search for truth and justice. The wounds of the past were healed by unity and the pursuit of a better future. Solomon, with the guidance of the prophets, worked to restore order, imposing justice on the guilty and promoting prosperity. Solomon's story serves as an example for future generations. May the search for truth and justice never cease. May unity always be stronger than division. Remember the power of truth and the importance of defending values and justice, and always seek wisdom to resolve conflicts. Follow this example forever. The following years were marked by prosperity and peace in the kingdom of Israel. Solomon, guided by wisdom and experience, ruled with justice and balance, uniting the tribes under a single purpose. The temple, a symbol of union, attracted pilgrims from all corners of the earth. The king's legacy echoed for generations, and the story of Solomon became a beacon of hope and wisdom. The queen, having unraveled the dark secrets and betrayed those responsible for her suffering, found inner peace and a new purpose. She dedicated herself to social projects, using her knowledge and experience to help those in need, and her name became synonymous with justice and compassion. Her legacy transcended the borders of the kingdom. The warrior, after overcoming his moral dilemmas, became a respected advisor, applying his wisdom and experience for the well-being of the kingdom. The search for truth, although painful, made him stronger and wiser, and his story inspired generations to seek truth and justice. The merchant, having approached the secret of the foreign leaders and betrayed his former allies, repented of his actions and dedicated himself to a new purpose. He embarked on a journey of personal transformation and found the path to redemption. He used his experience to assist the kingdom and improve the lives of everyone around him. The years passed. The conflicts of the past turned into lessons learned. Solomon left behind a legacy of wisdom, justice, and unity. Solomon's teachings echoed throughout the world, inspiring leaders and rulers. His reign became a legend, an example of how perseverance, the search for truth and unity, could transform a kingdom. The lessons of the past remain relevant. The search for truth and justice, the importance of wisdom and unity, and the responsibility that accompanies power. Solomon's reign continues to echo in future generations. Remember the importance of ethical choices, the search for truth and the construction of a world based on justice. May the story of Solomon inspire everyone to build a more just and peaceful future. Seek wisdom, unity, and truth, for these are the pillars that support a more prosperous world. Be like Solomon and build your own legacy.